Hey everyone, it's Carrie from Carrie's Wreath Creations. I am here today with a new tutorial. We are going to be putting together a kind of Christmas winter inspired wreath. We are going to be using a small, unique in the creek wreath board and some different types of mesh. Just to give you an example of what the finished product is going to look like. Here's one that I did for fall, and it's got this really glimmery foiled mesh. A couple different types of petals, again, like I mentioned, and a glitter rope center. I also have one that I completed for Christmas with red and green. So we have one type of petal on the outside here, a couple different types on this kind of second layer, and then another one here on the inside, glitter rope center. So it's going to look like this when it's done, but for this particular wreath, we are going to be using two types of mesh. This first one, I did cut up the entire roll already, but it's got navy blue, kind of like this champagne gold kind of foil and the little snowballs in it. So this will be good for Christmas. I see navy blue used a lot in Christmas decorations, but could even transition into sort of a winter wreath as well. And if you're interested in exactly what that is, I'm not using poly burlap, which I know is like shocking because I almost always do, but this is a fabric plaid mesh. I got it from Craft Outlet. It was a 10 by 10 10-inch by 10-yard roll, and I did cut the entire thing. I got 36 pieces, which is exactly the number that you need for this design. And then I'm also going to be using this matched, so I got this, and I've never worked with this particular type of mesh before, but as you can see, it's navy blue with like the gold champagne foil in it, and this is called Breeze Metallic Mesh. I actually really don't know what the difference between this and like deco mesh is, except that this is nice, really nice quality. I have very little fraying, so I really like this a lot. It's a little pricier than your regular deco mesh, but I think it's worth it. 10 by 10 yard roll, I only needed 8 pieces, so I have quite a bit left, okay? I also have already made my glitter rope center. Okay, so what I do is I start with a full styrofoam ball. I cut it in half. I have a styrofoam cutter, and there are tutorials for all of this on my YouTube. But then it ended up being 2.5 yards of glitter rope and glued it to the styrofoam ball. I have a tutorial for how to do this. I will make sure all of this is linked in the description box. And then I also use some pins to hold it together, as well as a pipe cleaner, which is what I'm going to use to attach to my wreath board. So put that off for right now. We don't need that quite yet. We're going to be using a small Unique in the Creek wreath board. They do come plain without the zip ties on, just like this. Okay, so this is the front of the board. This is the top. You can see a number 1, 2, 3, 4. The back has Unique in the Creek logo, and so you can tell which way is up. It does matter because at the top here, there's a couple extra holes which you can use to put your hanger, okay? So I already loaded my board with zip ties, and I use, what size zip ties do I use? I think they're 6-inch. I always forget because they're 6-inch zip ties, okay? And I put them onto the board. So we are going to be working only off of rows 2, 3, and 4. You can certainly work off of row 1, but again, I used an entire roll for this design. I would need more of this if I wanted to put this on row 1. And I just like my wreaths to be a little bit on the smaller side. It helps with the price of shipping too. So on row 2, and it's gonna probably be easier for you to look at the back. So row 2 is this first row here that I'm working off of. I just loaded all of the regular set of holes. Okay, so you'll see there's a spare one in the middle. We're not using that, okay? On row 3, which is the next one, we are using every pair, so the set of holes, and then we're using shared holes. So there's a zip tie going from like this, the hole from this pair to the hole of the next pair. There's a zip tie between that as well. So that's going to give you a total of 16. So it's 8 zip ties, 16 zip ties. And then the last is 8 more. So row 4, you're using the pairs and the shared holes again. So that's another 8, okay? I do have a video which shows you exactly how to load the board, but just for demonstration purposes, I will do it once. It's pretty simple. I actually like to do it from the back, where I just take my zip tie and I just pop it in like this, okay? And you do have to make sure that it is this part with the little nub is facing the right way. So the nub needs to be, the fatter part needs to be behind you, so that when you attach it, it's to the back, okay? Now, if you don't go, if you don't pop it in from the back like I do, I just feel like that's way faster. You just feed it through and up the next hole, okay? And then you just attach it until it clicks. And again, if you're using those shared holes, which this is row 3 here, so you are going to have like a little bit more distance to cover between the 2 holes, but that's using my shared set of holes. And then all I do to keep them in place and get the board ready is just put it in, wait till it clicks a few times, and you're good to go. Okay, so we're all done with that. No need to show on camera. Okay, I have some petals already prepped. So the first petal we are going to use on the outside looks like this. I believe I've really like lost touch with the names of the petals. I believe this is called a Gerber daisy petal. I could be wrong, but this is what we're going to use. Pretty simple to put together. So I already prepped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 of them. I need to make 2 more. So, this mesh was not my favorite to cut. I did use a rotary cutter to cut it. I don't know that you can use a wood burning tool on fabric mesh. I feel like it would light on fire, so I had to use this. And I have frays. It's just, it is what it is. This petal is somewhat forgiving. I mean, there's a fray right here, but I can just snip it off. It's not gonna show, okay? So I cut them at 10 inches, okay? And then what you're going to do is take your 10 by 10 square, turn it into a diamond shape, bring the top down to meet the bottom, okay? And I like to give it a little stretch. So I put my thumb down at the bottom and my middle finger is kind of stretching the top a little bit, okay? And then I'm just going to bring the left side down, okay? And the right side down. Actually, when I look at this, I have like a little bit of the left side's overlapping the right a little bit. So what that means, and I had already forgot because I did these a few days ago, I actually brought the right side down first and then the left. And so there is a tiny bit of overlap, and that's okay. Okay, so again, you start with your 10 by 10 piece, okay? Turn it to a diamond, top down to meet the bottom, give it a little stretch. I'm gonna stretch with my left hand so my right one is free to fold this. So take the right side, bring it down, and take the left side and bring it down. Okay, so you have this. I'm going to turn it to its side so I can like measure a little better. So I'm just going to pinch it about 2 inches from the bottom. This petal, there's no way to really completely hide the cut edges, so it is what it is. This is too much tail to put in the board. It will affect the next row of petals. So we need to snip a little bit off. So scissors, garbage cans off to the side, closer here. And about that much, okay? And then it's gonna go into the board. So this is the top of the board. I'll start at the top and I zip that in, okay? I have my handy dandy zip tie tool that I always use. It is great because it not only tightens the zip ties tighter that I can pull it with my fingers, but then it also clips them off really close to the little nub. And all I do is pull the trigger. So it takes a little trial and error to get that to work, but it's a great tool and it can be found on Amazon. Let's do one more. This is the only row that has this type of petal, okay? So again, we take our 10 by 10, turn it to a diamond shape, bring the top down to meet the bottom, give it a little stretch, bring the right side down to meet the bottom, okay? I like the top to be kind of more on the pointed side, so I am kind of like really sort of pressing it and pinching there. And then bring the left side down, okay? I have a little bit, the left side is overlapping the right just a little bit, maybe by maybe half an inch, not even, okay? And then I'm finding about 2 inches and pinching, okay? And cut off a little of this. I have an ugly fray, I'm gonna cut that off as well. This mesh is really beautiful, but the fabric does fray a little bit. But when we get done, you're not going to really notice too much because there's going to be other petals with no frayed edges showing kind of all over the the top layers. So this is really just the back, and it won't affect it too much. So again, these are going in row 2, every set of holes, so that's 8. Okay, and I'm just putting them in, and we'll be done with this row. Okay, the next row is where the real fun begins. And I would like to point out that this design, I think I started doing it maybe 2 years ago. Yeah, it's definitely been at least 2 years. I initially saw it on the Monkey's Creations page, and I believe she's still doing, I don't know if it's exactly this design, but something very similar. So I don't want to claim that I, came up with this on my own, because I did use that for inspiration. I'm not sure if I'm doing all of the exact same petals that she's doing. I feel like the ones I use as kind of like my filler petals and the ones on the topmost layer on row 4 are not the same as hers, but that is, I don't know what she's using on that, but I have a petal that I don't actually know the name of that I'm using for that. And I use it instead of, anytime something calls for a Star Trek petal, if you're familiar with your petals, I hate folding the Star Trek petal. So I use this other petal, looks like this instead. So we'll get to this one in a second. All right, so that's the end of row 2. We're moving on to row 3. So we are going to be working right now on the, we have 2 different petals. I don't know what this is called either. Maybe there's something called a daisy chain. I'm not sure if that's what this is, but this, and so this is like a double layer, and this is a triple layer petal. And it's, again, it's somewhat simple to put together. And you don't see any cut edges, so any frays are gonna kind of get covered up. So I need 2 of this, and I'm sorry, I already prepped 2 of those. I need a total of 4 and a total of 4. Okay, I already have 2 of each prepped. We're gonna be putting these in the shared set of holes. So when we're looking at row 3, so right at the top here, there's the Unique in the Creek logo. This is a shared set of holes. I'm gonna put one of those petals here. I'm not gonna put anything in the actual set, the pair of holes yet. Okay, I'm gonna do all of these next. This is not my favorite thing to fold. Probably why I've been making this wreath for like 2 years and haven't ever made a tutorial, because it's just not my favorite. But you're gonna need some clips. I just use these clips from the Dollar Tree. Let me grab a couple more. And I'm gonna grab a couple rubber bands. I don't know if I'm gonna use them. I did, obviously, to hold these ones together. But let's start with the little bit easier one. This is the kind of the 2-layer petal. So on the inside is the breeze mesh, and on the outside is the fabric mesh. So I'm gonna start with the breeze mesh, and I'm gonna take my 10 by 10 piece. Like, this is just such nice quality. I don't know what it is about it, but I like it a lot. Okay, so it's 10 by 10, and I did just cut it with a rotary cutter. Look at that, no frays at all. Okay, turn it into, oh, and I just made a fray, but that's okay. We're gonna fold it all up, it won't matter. Okay, turn it into a diamond shape, bring the top down to meet the bottom. Okay, now we're just kind of making like a skinny, sort of really skinny rectangle, flattened tube sort of situation. Okay, so I brought the top down to meet the bottom. I'm going to take the bottom to meet the top. Okay, and then I'm going to do that one more time where I take the top, fold it down to meet the bottom. Okay, and this is where your clips are going to come in handy. I'm going to clip, and I'm going to clip down here too. Okay, so I have this. Okay, so there's a folded edge, there's an open edge. Just pay attention to that, because you want your petals to all be consistent. So when we put this together, we're going to be lining up the folded edges together. Okay, so put that aside. Now I'm going to take a piece of my fabric mesh. Okay, same thing, 10 by 10, turn it to a diamond, bring the top down to meet the bottom. Okay, bring the bottom to meet the top. Don't go past the top because you don't want this little nubby end to poke out. So just make sure you stop a little bit before you get to the top. And then bring the top down to meet the bottom again. Okay. Now I was being quick and maybe a little lazy, and I was just putting my petal together from there, but let's go ahead and clip this just so I can better demonstrate how to put this together. Okay. So I have that. So I want this, the breeze mesh is going on the inside. So again, here is my folded side, open side, open side. So make sure those line up. I'm going to put the plainer kind on top of the other kind. Okay. And then, so I'm just lining them up. Okay. Kind of look at the ends to see if they match up. And then you're going to just kind of, you know, you're almost like you're folding it in half, but you're not going to fold it completely in half. In order to keep these consistent, what I am doing is I am grabbing everything at the, basically so that the loop is 4.5 inches. So this is 10, this is 14.5 on my cutting board. Okay. And that's where I'm pinching it. Okay. We do not need the clips anymore. Okay, and then I have all this extra, just like I did when I was doing the other petal. So you do need to clip some of this off. Okay, and so now we have this, and this is gonna go, okay, here's the very top of my board. It's where the number 3 is, and that's where I'm gonna put this one. Okay, and you know, if you are worried about the security of your petal in this, where you have the shared holes, because it is like a bigger, like distance for the zip tie to cover, you could use like a 4-inch zip tie to hold the petal together and then put it into the zip tie and have the little nub of your petal zip tie catch on the one that is in the board. So that way, if it's pulled on, it won't come out. But I don't know, this thing pulls everything pretty tight, and I don't know why anyone would be yanking on the petals. So I don't know, I think it's fine. All right, so that was the very top of the board. Remember, for right now, we're skipping the pair of the set of holes, the regular set. We're skipping this one. So we're on to the next one, and we are going to use the 3-layer petal on that. So that would be this one. So if you take a look at this, it's got your double layer, and then it has a little bit of space. And I know for sure my Monkey's Creations did their petal like this too. Okay, so not my own idea. I don't want to steal anybody's ideas, but okay. So we are doing, on this one, we are doing, the outside is going to be the fabric mesh. The inside is the fabric mesh. The middle is the plainer blue. We're going to put this middle part together first. So I need to do the opposite of how I put the other petal together. So I'm going to start with this one. Actually, it really doesn't matter which one you start with, but I don't know. I always go from the inside layer to the outside. Okay. And make sure you have clips, and probably you can use another clip, or you can use like a rubber band or a zip tie. It is easier if you have something to hold this part of the petal together while you're working on it. So I have my clips. This is again the exact same way that I put together the one I just did, just kind of opposite order. Okay, diamond shape, make a triangle, bring the bottom up, bring the top down. Okay, if you want to use your clips. Okay. And remember, now when we did this petal, we put this one was going to go on the inside. Okay, here's my folded edges, so those are what's going to line up. Okay, but I want the opposite for this one. So I want the plainer blue color on the outside. So, and I'm just like doing exactly how I made that other one. Okay, and I'm going to pinch it at the about 4.5 inch mark, which is right here. Okay. And now here is where you can clip it. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to snip this off and put a rubber band on it. To me, that's a little bit easier than working with the clips. Okay, so I just get these in the the hair section at the dollar store. Okay, so I have this, again, blue on the outside, the plaid on the inside. Here's my folded part, here my open part. And when I'm putting it in the board, the folded part is what's going down like that. Or the folded part is facing up, I should say. Okay, I need one last piece of this. So you fold it the same way. So you have your diamond shape, you take your triangle, make your triangle by bringing the top down, bottom up, top down. I'm gonna go ahead and clip it the same way I had before. And now this is where it gets a little tricky, okay? You're gonna kind of get this prepped, okay? Kind of the same way you got the other ones prepped, so almost like as if you're gonna fold it in half, but you're not, okay? And then you're gonna take, here's the part that I already prepped. You're gonna put that in, sandwich that in between your two like flaps or whatever you wanna call them. And so this is at the 10-inch mark, and I'm gonna line this up with the 11-inch mark. So basically there is 1 inch, and I'm gonna grab all of this down here. There's 1 inch between this outside petal and the 2 inner petals, okay? And that's, again, to make sure everything is consistent. And where I grabbed it is very close to where the rubber band is for the other one. Actually, I'm just grabbing it a little bit farther up, okay? But here's where I banded the other one, and I'm just grabbing it a little, I'm pinching like right above that. You have more junk to cut off, okay? And since I'm getting ready to put this right in the board, I'm not gonna clip or do anything with this. I'm just gonna hold on to it. Okay, again, I'm skipping that pair of holes and moving on to the next set of shared holes. Okay, and zip that right in. Okay. And there you have it, okay? So it's kind of cool. It creates like a little bit of dimension by having this, a little bit of space between that, okay? So I do have to make one more of each. So let's go through that. So I'm alternating. So now I'm back to the 2-layer petal with the blue on the inside and the fabric on the outside. So take your square, oops, I'm caught. Turn it into a diamond. Okay, top down to meet the bottom, bottom to top, top back down to bottom. Oops, my clips. Okay, and then same thing with the fabric. This has a bunch of frays, that's okay. It's gonna all get tucked in, so, okay. And the bottom to meet the top, top to meet the bottom. Okay, you can clip, or if you're gonna kind of try to hold everything, you can just grab that other piece, okay? Remember, the blue's going on the inside for this one. So I'm gonna line these up, okay? Here's my folded edges, okay? And then kind of as if I'm gonna fold it in half, but not, okay? That's the 10-inch mark there, so for about, again, I'm grabbing it at the 4.5 inch mark again, right there. Take all these off, okay. If you don't have, I got those clips just at the Dollar Tree, but you can use clothespins or probably even like binder clips too. I don't know. I've never tried that, but I feel like it would work, okay. And I'm skipping the set of holes and going into the shared holes, okay. We are going to put something, obviously, since there's a zip tie that I loaded in, we're going to put something in that set of holes. We're going to do that. We're going to knock all these out. This is, I don't know, to me, this is not my favorite part of making this wreath. I just don't love the finickiness of all the clipping and the multiple clipping, the rubber band and all the things. But okay, so now I'm doing the 3-layer one. So I'm going to do the inside layer is this fabric plaid. So diamond shape, top to meet the bottom, bottom to meet the top, top to meet the bottom, okay, and clip. And now I take this one. Oh yeah, I only needed 8 pieces of this. I'm like, oh no, did I run out? I didn't. I only needed 8 pieces because the rest of the petals are done already. And I'm not using this again. I could, but I'm not. Okay. Okay, clip, clip. Okay, so again, this is going on the inside for this triple layer petal. The plaid is going on the inside. There are my folded parts. There's my open parts, okay? And, okay, I'm gonna find using my 10-inch and the 14.5, so about 4.5 inches is where I'm pinching, so I can have consistent loop sizes. I feel like that's something that, you know, when you're making these flower wreaths, the consistency of your petals really, it really makes the difference between, you know, a wreath that's like very precise and neat, and the ones that are like a little bit, I don't want to say sloppier, but it just, like, take the time and measure and make sure your petals are all consistent. It makes it look better. Just, you have a better result. Okay, so now I'm doing this outside kind of loop thing. And again, I'm folding all the same way every time. Okay, and it goes pretty quick. Okay, and take this over here so I'm ready. Okay, so I'm folding this almost like I'm gonna fold it in half, making sure kind of the ends lined up so I know sort of where I'm at. And take the part that I already prepped, put that on the inside. I think when I was first making this wreath, the worst thing I was doing that would make me so mad was when I would take like a part I already prepped and I put it in the wrong way. So be consistent and have your folded edges up and the open edges down, and that way they'll all look the same. Because if you do them all the same and then you mess up one, it's like so frustrating. Okay, so this is at 10. This one's going to be at 11, so kind of a 1-inch gap between them. And again, I'm going to pinch kind of right above where I put that, where I put the, what do you call it, the rubber band. Okay, clip off this little extra and clips off and into the board. Okay. All right, so I would say that's the hardest part done right now because I already have the rest of the petals prepped. So we're just going to put them in. I'm not going to need clips anymore. I don't need rubber bands anymore. Okay, so again, we're alternating. So the next one, okay, I'm still again skipping that set of holes, going to the shared holes. Here's the 2-layer petal. Okay, and then the 3-layer petal. So it's a total of 8 of these layered kind of, whatever they are. I don't know the name. Rolled up petals. Maybe the daisy chain petal. I don't really know what a daisy chain petal actually is. There's a couple, I don't know, sometimes there's fads in the wreath world and I don't follow them, so I don't really know what petal this is. The daisy chain I feel like was a big thing for a while and it's still used a lot, but I just like never got into it, except for on this type of wreath. Okay, so let me get rid of all these zip ties and then we'll talk about what we're gonna do in these in-between spaces. And we only have one more petal to learn. And I have a bunch of them already made, so I'm just going to demo a few. Okay, I got them all. All right, so the last petal is the one I mentioned before that I don't know the name of, but it looks like a, kind of looks like a Star Trek petal. I don't know. I have a tutorial specifically on this petal. I saw somebody do it once. I'd never seen anyone do it again. I don't watch a ton of videos anymore, but I don't have a name for it. I use it as like a skinny sunflower petal, and I use it on other wreaths. I use it anytime I need kind of filler, and this definitely needs filler. I'm actually going to go ahead and plug in my hot glue gun too first. We're going to use hot glue at the end here. You do have to kind of, at least for the way I'm doing it, I do like to do some gluing at the end, and I'll show you why when we get there. So for this petal, okay, you're taking your 10 by 10, turn into a diamond, sound like a broken record, bring the top down to meet the bottom, okay? And now I'm gonna take the right over left, okay, like this, okay? So all I did was take the right side and fold it over the left side, okay? Now I'm going to flip this over, and I will tell you why. It is because this petal hides all the cut edges, but in case it didn't, you screwed it up or something, here is the factory edge, and I want that to be on this topmost layer. So here's how I folded it. There's a cut edge right here, so I'm just actually using the back, and there's probably a more simple way to fold that rather than be flipping, but okay, so I flipped it over. Now I'm going to grab these two tails, okay, and I have this kind of looks like a shoe or something, I don't know, okay, so I'm just grabbing right there, grabbing all the ends, okay. Now I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to create a little indent here, and at the same time I'm going to use my thumb and middle finger to pinch up. So create the little indent, and then you sort of like pinch, like so that there's like a little dimple, so that you've actually, the part that you're pinching is now, or sorry, the part that your finger was on is now in there, okay? And you don't want to let go of it. So let me go ahead and start over again, okay? So again, I'm finding the middle, putting my finger, taking my thumb and middle finger and just like pinching, okay? So I'm like creating this little like divot, okay? And then I'm going to take this flap, they're kind of stuck together, okay? This flap up, grab it, and this part up and grab it, okay? Came out a little lopsided, just pinch it in a new spot. Of course, when I'm trying to work on camera, it'll be fine, okay? A lot of extra, cut some of this off. I like this petal a little bit better with poly burlap, but that's okay. All right, and now I'm gonna go back to these pairs of holes on row 3. And so this is gonna sit right between your kind of rolled up petals, okay? And you can position it so it sits really nice and cleanly in between, okay? And I have one more to make. I know my last demo was not great. Maybe this one will be better. Okay, so again, 10 by 10, turn it to a diamond, fold to a triangle. I'm gonna take the right, fold it on top of the left, okay? And I have a separate tutorial for this, so maybe I'll link that. Or I think I already said I would, because I don't know, I just feel like this demo is not great. I'm gonna flip it over, okay? I'm gonna grab my two kind of tail ends here, okay? I'm going to create my little divot and pinch. So the divot kind of falls in to where I pinched. Take this one flap, bring it up. Take this flap, bring it up. Okay. It's still lopsided. I really feel like it's probably the mesh, and I just, again, being on camera, of course I have a lot of very nice perfect ones that I did off camera. Okay, cut the tails off. It doesn't really, if they're a little lopsided, it doesn't matter all that much, honestly, because they're sitting between these two other petals, so you can't tell if it's not perfectly symmetrical. Okay, so let's get some of these, and now I'm just putting the rest of these in. So it's a total of 8 of this type of petal on row 3. Okay. Make sure if you do pre-make your petals, a couple things to note. So there is an open side. Make sure you're putting them in with the open side all going the same direction. It also does look different on the back side. It's got like kind of this really big divot right here, whereas it's like a smaller divot, and you can see this like curving up on what we'll call the right side that is going into the board. Okay. And I'm just tucking them in there. And we're going to use this petal on row 4 too. So I'm not going to demo any more petals. They're all done. I'm just zipping them in now. And we'll clip this stuff off and be on our way to the next step here. Okay. All right, so let me get the rest of this off of here. Okay, so that really filled in that row because These kind of like rolled up petals, they don't have a lot of width, so you were seeing the board a lot, but that really filled it in. Okay, so now we're on row 4, and every set of holes and every shared set of holes is getting one of these as well. My glue gun is heating up, and I'm going to tell you how I finished this off before I put the center on. You could probably play around with adding more petals to fill this in a little bit more, because what I'm going to show you, you can sort of still see the board when you're done with this. So like I said, you can put more petals in. I certainly have enough of the blue with champagne, the whatever it was called, breeze mesh, whatever it's called. I have more of that, and I could play around with like trying to maybe put 2 petals in each one of these holes, because it's a pretty skinny petal. I probably could do that. I don't really want to, because this design uses exactly 36 pieces of this kind of this fabric mesh, and I don't know, I just don't really want to introduce you could alternate it. That might actually look good. I don't know, maybe someday I'll try that. But I've been doing them all this one certain way for a while, and so this is, I'll tell you how I finished this off. Okay, so here is what we have. Okay, it might be hard to see on camera, but like you can still see like in there into the board in a few spots. You can see a hole here and there. I don't know if you can tell. There's still some board showing. Okay, and you know, these are skinny petals. So that's part of the problem. So like I said, maybe if you were wanting to experiment, you could add more petals. This one looks super crooked. I don't know what happened. Put 2 petals in each zip tie maybe. But I'm going to show you how I finish it off, because I feel like it's worked for me, so why not? And I'm not going to put this in yet, but that's not going to take care of the problem that is kind of happening like up like here. Okay, so this is covering the junk, but there's still some spots that I don't like the way they look. So I have a bunch. I have my clips. I need a couple more, and I have my hot glue gun. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna take my hot glue, and I'm going like on one of these row 4 petals. I'm going, I don't know, kind of like even with where you see the zip tie on the next row. And I'm putting a dab of glue, and I'm going to glue one petal to the other. Okay. And I'm going to put a clip to pinch it. So I'm going to take this petal. I always put the glue on the one. So this is again, remember these petals have a folded side and an open side. So this is the open side. This is the folded side. So I put a dab of glue on the folded side. And then I'm going to grab this petal and kind of just put a little glue, and sorry, I got glue strings all over me. Okay, and I'm going to do that all the way around. So I'm just gluing the petals to each other. Okay. So again, a little dab of glue, pinch them, kind of just bring them together. This also, like, because that petal is so skinny, sometimes when you put it in the board, it just, it like, depending how it lays, it looks kind of like, you know, wonky, like going kind of, some of them are going in different directions. So this helps with that too. I don't generally like to put glue on any kind of wreaths, except for, of course, the center, because it's sort of unavoidable. But this is such a small amount. I don't feel too bad about it. Oh, that hurt. Burned my finger. All right. And I'm using the clips just while it dries to hold it in place. The ones that I already did are probably already good to take off. It doesn't take long for that to set. And again, nothing is, you're really just preventing from being able to see the board. I'm using glue, it's Gorilla glue sticks. You don't, I'm kind of like almost going like underneath this petal a little bit, not just on the top or the side. It's like under, like here's the petal and that folded part kind of going almost underneath. So it's going to be, then when I attach it, I'm kind of going with the underneath part too. So it's hidden. It's fine. No one's going to see. All right, last one. And okay. All right, so yeah, the ones that I already did are probably close. It's already sticking. So for time purposes, I'm going to take these off. You could let it sit just a little longer if you wanted, but I think this is going to be fine. Oops. Every once in a while, your clip gets a little glue on it and goes flying like mine just did. Okay, some of these glue strings off here. Okay, and last one. Okay, so yeah, it's already stuck. I'm not going to pull on it because I don't want it to come apart, but you don't need much glue. Okay, and now when you look at it, you no longer see the board. If you do, make a little tiny adjustment, like I'm going to make one here, but you don't have the board showing anymore anywhere. Okay, and finally, let's put on our, well, I guess not finally, but next to last step. I do buy my glitter rope on Etsy, and I do make the centers myself. Okay, I wish this was a little bit more champagne and a little less gold, but I think it's going to be fine. I ordered a different kind, hasn't come in yet, and maybe that'll be, I need it to be a little less yellow gold and a little more like a whitish gold, but I think that this still looks really pretty. I might explore another option for the center, but I think that this looks pretty good. You know, if you're super picky about your golds matching, then maybe it's a no for you. You know, what else might look cool is because of these little snowballs in the mesh, maybe you use like a snowball center where you take a bunch of those little pom-poms and stick them on a styrofoam ball. That might look cool. And then final step, I always use fish line to create my hook. This holds 25 pounds. There is no way your wreath is going anywhere. Okay, I don't measure. I just cut piece. Let me find the top is up here. Okay, and I realized I put that center on. I didn't even tell you how I did it. So I'll go back and make sure I explain a little bit better there. But when you attach your center, there's those two center holes. I'm just tying a knot here. Okay. There's those two center holes that you can go through, or like an opposite set of holes on row 4. Okay, and so you have your pair of holes. Here's the top, Unique in the Creek logo. Here's the top of the board. Okay, so you have your pair of holes, and then there's these extra ones. So I just fed my fish line through that. Okay, and then again, let me just untwist, show you again. So when I put this on, okay, you can't actually see that pair of holes, but it's there. You can feed through that, or I just pick an opposite set of holes usually. Like, just find any old opposite set of holes. Okay, let me go to the back, and then I just twist a couple of times. You can cut this off. I usually choose to leave it long and then just feed it through a zip tie and kind of twist it around to get rid of the extra. And especially because I'm not 100% sure I'm going to leave this center on, I don't want to cut anything off. Okay. Oops. Okay. And there you have it, all done. Okay. So super glam winter, maybe Christmas wreath. This will be available in my Etsy shop. I appreciate you all watching my tutorial, and please feel free to follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok at Carrie's Wreath Creations. My Etsy shop will be linked in the description box, but it is carrieswreathco.etsy.com. And I also have been working on my own centers, not the glitter rope ones, but I've been paint pouring centers. So if you're looking for a unique center for your flower wreath, be sure to check out my Etsy shop. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.